welcome to this alternative channel video. I do apologise that I've not done anything for a while, but in this video I want to talk about dating sites and how I think they're a big fail. I think in principle dating sites have become so bloated with so many issues that you are better going to a local bar or club to meet someone in person. At least you can see into their eyes, know they're real, and get a sense of whether they're a genuine person or not, and basically find out what they're looking for. So why do people go to dating sites? There's many reasons, and I'll just go through the gist of what you'll find on a dating site in general. So you're likely to find fake profiles on dating sites, whether that's been done by individuals or the dating sites themselves, and there are some dodgy dating sites as well out there, as well as the mainstream ones. You'll find scammers. Scammers generally prey on the gullible and the fragile and try and start money out of you. But lately it's been found that they do cooperate in some respect with dating sites, and there is some form of collaborative works going off there that I wasn't aware of. You're probably familiar with the lottery scams that you find on email. You can get that through the dating sites as well. You'll find genuine people as well, but I tend to find it being a bit like looking for a needle in the haystack quite often, to be frank with you. Obviously, if you're really attractive or quite wealthy, you may have a different experience. However, it can be a bit of hit and miss with dating sites. Can be difficult to meet people in person, even if they seem genuine, because frankly put, some people are just not that interested in meeting you in person. Fish cats, what are they? Well, fish cats are people that just generally speaking are there to waste time, have fun, mess about, they're bored, and they thought it'd be fun to talk to people online and mess them about if they're not that serious, but the other person they're talking to is serious. It can feel like you're just being messed about. One night stands and flirting, you generally get a lot of that as well, where people are just looking for sex. One night stands, there's nothing wrong with that, you know, if you're open in terms of your relationship status and you're happy to have a one night stand, there's no issue with that if you're both consenting adults. Gold diggers and people looking for rich people or a quick buck. There's a lot of those online, and what you'll find is if you say I'm a truck driver or an admin worker or a call centre operative, pretty quickly they don't want to talk to you and move on. There is a lot of that out there, and if you look at people's profiles, quite often they're looking for someone successful. Frankly speaking, I just don't like people like that, you know. Even if I was wealthy, even if I was rich, I wouldn't want someone to be with me just because I am rich, because their mindset will be, even if they don't like that person, they marry him or her for a period of time and then they divorce and come away with a lot of money, and that's their mindset. So those people are not really someone I'd want to be with. So for those of you who are like that, you're pretty sad really, but because those relationships don't last. They rarely last. Some of my work, my experience, if you're both in the same financial situation, that's where the relationship will work. If you're not, and one is wealthy, one is poor, then it's not going to work out. And then obviously you've got your dating sites. I've done a bit of a Google search here, and there's various sites. I do want to talk about something that's quite serious and important, and I don't think it was a major issue maybe 20 years ago. There used to be a stigma with being on a dating site, and you tended to find quite a lot of real, genuine people on dating sites many years ago. More so, I think it's less so in these days. I think there's a lot of fakeness going off. I think a lot of that is being propagated by the dating sites themselves. And there is also some dodgy websites out there that you don't want to go near. But even the legitimate ones are getting into a lot of trouble. So you know, obviously everything I say in this video will be alleged. I have no concrete evidence, although I do have something from the FTC to go through with you, which will give you some credence to what I'm saying. People join dating sites really to find a relationship and settle down and be with someone, and hopefully raise a family. If you're a shy person, you may find it difficult to go out to nightclubs and bars, and that's why you turn to dating sites. Generally speaking, it can be difficult to meet someone. And there's a lot of fakers, a lot of people lie, a lot of people that pretend to be near you, a lot of people using fake pictures, and reluctant to even give you their phone number, which sort of is a red signal to me if you're not willing to talk to each other on the phone. If they claim to be in your country and they don't want to talk to you, that sort of suggests that they may not be in your country. And I'm pretty much getting sick and tired of talking to people that pretend to be in your country when they're not. So I'm going to go through a little bit of experience that I've had. Hopefully this will be helpful to you. So I've met a Chinese girl from Hong Kong. I met 2 African women from Botswana. I've met a white woman from Italy, and a woman from Thailand. So a mixed bag of different peoples. And it can be fun to meet people with different cultures. You may not be compatible. You may find it difficult to get on if you are from cultures that are completely alien. But that's the fun side of meeting new people, isn't it? Getting to know them. So, you know, that's in essence a brief history of dating sites and my experience with them. So I've been a member on Zoosk now and then, and quite often I get notifications to say that someone's interested in me. I sign up, and normally the profile says a Zoosk member instead of a name like Carol or Claire or whatever. It sort of is a bit of a red signal or red alert in my mind, because I'm thinking, is that person genuine? Have I been ripped off by the dating site? And sure enough, quite often you'll find that you'll get a notification that someone is interested in you, no matter what the dating site is. There can be different ones. And quite often it's dishonest marketing practices from the website itself. They employ people, subcontract people to be members and contact other members to try and encourage them to sign up to membership. And I think as humans, we're all inquisitive to talk to people. And if we see someone that we like and we're interested in, and they send us a message, we want to read that message. But in order to read that message, we normally have to sign up to the membership and pay our monies, which typically is around £25 to £30 a month, or it could be dollars. Other sites offer it to be a bit cheaper than that if you have like a longer term, like 6 months or 12 months. But what you'll find is quite often when you're encouraged to go to a dating site through their marketing practices, quite often I've talked to individuals who were genuine members on certain sites, and they've told me, I never sent you that message, I never clicked that button, which sort of says to me, dating sites are doing dishonest things. And when I come to the article, you'll see what I mean. I'll try and read it out for you. Hopefully this won't be too boring for you listening to me read it out. But I want to be honest with you, and I have had conversations with people who have worked for these dating sites. I remember talking to someone from mate1.com, which is another dating site, who was classed as an ambassador on their site, had a nice model-esque picture, seemed nice. And I got chatting to that person, and they revealed some information that I thought maybe they shouldn't have, because they worked for the site. But they revealed that they were subcontracted, got a bonus from the website for every member that joined, and what they did was just send messages to random people, trying to show interest in them. And in order for them to read that message, they had to pay for membership. And these sites also make it very difficult for you cancelling membership. Quite often what you'll find is even if you disable auto renewal on the dating site itself, if you've paid through PayPal, for example, the subscription will still be live even when you think the membership has been cancelled, and you'll be charged again. And then when you go to PayPal and make a dispute, they will say your transaction was authorised, not unauthorised, and refuse to give you a refund, which is really strange and bizarre considering PayPal, if you know PayPal and eBay, generally they tend to side with the buyer in most cases, which I find incredibly strange that they refuse to refund people who didn't want the subscription to continue. And when they realise they've paid again, it's too late. Obviously, by the third time, they will have cancelled their subscription, but you still feel like you've been ripped off, don't you? So if you do have an auto-renewed subscription going off on some sort of dating site, make sure it's been cancelled in your PayPal details or any other payment system you've used. There may be other payment systems out there, I don't know, I'm not an expert on payment systems, but hopefully that will be informative. If you want to cancel your membership, double check it on PayPal, click on the cancel link in your PayPal account under subscriptions and cancel it, and then hopefully you won't be charged a third time. So without further ado, let's jump to the article. I'll go through it, we'll read it out so it saves you having to read it. I'll leave a link in the description box if you do want to read it at your own leisure. But I want to talk about something that's very important. Obviously Match.com is a massive company. They did buy datingdirect.com some years ago, which was a massive dating site itself. It's a multi-million pound business, the dating scene is. And I'm going to read an article which will shock you. So, okay, we've got an article here. So, in the article, the FTC sues owner of online dating service Match.com for using fake love interest ads to trick consumers into paying for a Match.com subscription. The Federal Trade Commission, which is abbreviated to FTC, sued online dating service Match Group Inc. Match, the owner of Match.com, Tinder, OkCupid, Plenty of Fish and other dating sites, alleging that the company used fake love interest advertisements to trick hundreds of thousands of consumers into purchasing paid subscriptions on Match.com. In this video, I just want to make it absolutely clear, all information and my personal thoughts, we are alleging that these dating sites are doing this undecent marketing practices. So I just want to make that clear, obviously for legal reasons. The agency also alleges that Match has unfairly exposed consumers to the risk of fraud, engaged in other allegedly deceptive and unfair practices. For instance, the FTC alleges Match offered false promises of guarantees, failed to provide services to consumers who unsuccessfully disputed charges, and made it difficult for users to cancel the subscription. So as I've said, they've made it extremely difficult for you to cancel your subscriptions. That's why they use the auto renewal model, so hoping people will forget to cancel, that is. We believe that Match.com con people into paying for subscriptions via messages the company knew were from scammers. So this goes back to what we're talking about, scammers. So it sounds like there's a potential here for them to be working together to encourage people to pay for subscriptions. So risk of fraud, engaged in other allegedly deceptive, unfair practices. For instance, the FTC alleges Match.com offered false promises of guarantees, failed to provide services to consumers who unsuccessfully disputed charges, and made it difficult for users to cancel the subscriptions. We believe that Match.com con people into paying for subscriptions via messages the company knew were from scammers, said Andrew Smith, director of the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection. Online dating services obviously shouldn't be used romance scammers as a way to fatten their bottom line. So, you know, romance scammers is another term used for scammers. Match touts fake love interest advertisements, often from scammers. Match allows users to create Match.com profiles free of charge, but prohibits users from responding to messages without upgrading to a paid subscription. According to the FTC's complaint, Match sent emails to non-subscribers stating that someone had expressed an interest in that consumer. Specifically, when non-subscribers with free accounts receive likes, favourites, emails and instant messages on Match.com. They also receive email ads from Match encouraging them to subscribe to Match.com to view the identity of the sender and the content of the communication. So again, it does seem like a lot of communications being sent via email to possible subscribers, you know, to register and pay for membership. The FTC alleges that millions of contacts that generated Match's notices came from accounts the company had already flagged as likely to be fraudulent. By contrast, Match prevented existing subscribers from receiving email communications from a suspected fraudulent account. Many consumers purchase subscriptions because of these deceptive ads, hoping to meet a real user who might be the one. We're always looking for the one, aren't we? The FTC alleges that instead, these consumers often would have found a scammer on the other end. According to the FTC's complaint, consumer came into contact with the scammer if they subscribed before Match completed its fraud review process. So basically, they're not catching the scammer out. If Match completed its review process and deleted the account as fraudulent before the consumer subscribed, the consumer received a notification that the profile was unavailable. In either event, the consumer was left with a paid subscription to Match.com as a result of a false advertisement. So what you're getting from there is Match is exposing people to scammers and letting them have contact with that scammer for a period of time before flagging them as being false, which is misleading to you as a consumer because you might think that person is genuine. Consumers who considered purchasing a Match.com subscription generally were unaware that as many as 25 to 30% of Match.com members who register each day are using Match.com to attempt to facilitate a scam, including romance scams, phishing scams, fraudulent advertising and extortion scams. In some months between 2013 and 2016, more than half of the instant messages and favourites that consumers received came from accounts that Match identified as fraudulent, according to the complaint. Bloody hell, 30% and 50% of messages are fraudulent. Wow, that's massive, isn't it? Hundreds of thousands of consumers subscribed to Match.com shortly after receiving communications from fake profiles, according to the FTC's complaint from June 2016 to May 2018. For example, Match own analysis found that consumers purchased 499,691 subscriptions within 24 hours of receiving an advertisement touting a fraudulent communication. Wow, that's 500,000, isn't it, really? Online dating services, including Match.com, often are used to find and contact potential romance scam victims. Fraudsters create fake profiles, establish trusting relationships, and then trick consumers into giving or loaning them money. Just last year, romance scams ranked number 1 of the FTC's list of total reported losses to fraud. The Consumer Sentinel complaint database received more than 21,000 reports about romance scams, and people reported losing a total of $143 million in 2018. Can you imagine that sum? $143 million. Can you imagine what you could buy with that? And that's based on 21,000 reports. Absolutely disgusting. Match deceived consumers with inconspicuous, hard to understand disclosures. The FTC also alleges Match deceptively induced consumers to subscribe to Match.com by promising them a free 6-month subscription if they did not meet someone special, without adequately disclosing that consumers must meet numerous requirements before the company would honour the agreement. Now, I will be the first to say that I did test Match.com out a while ago, and I went for this 6 months membership. That meant you got 6 months free. Never got the 6 months free, so it was a bit of a rip-off, really. Specifically, the FTC alleges Match failed to disclose adequately that consumers must secure and maintain a public profile with a primary photo approved by Match within the first 7 days of a purchase. Message 5 unique Match.com subscribers per month and use a progressive page to redeem the free 6 months during the final week of the initial 6-month subscription period. So you've got terms and conditions to follow, and if you're not sending messages every month, you're not going to get your 6 months free, basically. Unfair billing dispute and failure to provide simple subscription cancellation practices. Due to Match's allegedly deceptive advertising, billing and cancellation practices, consumers often disputed charges through their financial institutions. The complaint alleges that Match then banned these users from accessing the services they paid for. So basically, if you dispute something with your bank, they're going to basically ban you from using your membership, which is a bit dubious and dishonest. You know, if you got your refund, I could understand it. Fine, it's not a problem. But if they're refusing to refund you and you're having to go to your institution or bank to get your money back, they're banning you straight away, which I don't think is fair. Finally, the FTC alleges that Match violated the Restore Online Shoppers Confidence Act, ROSCA, by failing to provide a simple method for consumers to stop reoccurring charges from being placed on their credit card, debit card, bank account or other financial account. Each step of the online cancellation process, from the password entry to the retention offer to the final survey pages, confused and frustrated consumers and ultimately prevented many consumers from cancelling their Match.com subscriptions. The FTC contends the complaint states that Match's own employees described the cancellation process as hard to find, tedious and confusing, and noted that members often think they've cancelled when they have not and end up with unwanted renews. So even their own staff are saying, hang on a minute, this is really hard to cancel your membership, and people unknowingly getting charged again. The Commission vote authorising the staff to file the complaint was 4-0 to 1, with Chairman Joseph Simons recused. The complaint was filed in the US District Court for the Northern District of Texas. Note, the Commission filed a complaint with it has reason to believe that law has been or is being violated, and it appears to the Commission that our proceedings is in the public interest. The case will be decided by the court. So my takeaway from this document from the FTC is that Match is deliberately encouraging messages to go to people, to encourage them to sign up for membership, and then makes it incredibly difficult for people to cancel their subscription. And in my opinion, I think it's fraudulent, because it seems to me, while they're not technically speaking working with the scammers, they are benefiting from the actions of the scammers, who are literally contacting as many people as possible to try and get as many victims as possible. The byproduct of that is people are receiving messages that from someone they might be interested in, because they may see a nice picture, and then they'll sign up for membership thinking it's a legitimate person when it's not. And by the time they realise it's a scammer, even if they've not been scammed themselves, it's too late. They've already paid for the membership, and when they try and get their money back, it's almost impossible. And then when they think they've cancelled their membership, they haven't. It's still ongoing, and they'll probably end up with another charge at some point. So that's my takeaway from this: is it's the dating world is becoming complicated, difficult, and you're probably better off going to a club or bar. At least you know you're not going to be charged just to see that person. Yeah, you might have to buy some drinks, but that's part and parcel of dating these days, isn't it? Anyway, I hope you learned something from this video. I hope it was informative, and I'll check you out in the next video. It should be sometime in the future, not too long away, hopefully. So I hope you have a nice day and keep safe, and you know, don't lose your head. Bye bye.